Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel Books Natasa, and today we're gonna talk about all the books that I read in the month of February. So this month, comparing to my previous months, I was lacking in reading wise. I just been super busy. Especially the past few weeks, and I didn't have much time reading, so in total I read about 11 books and 4 manga. So let's get straight into the books. Like in the previous video, I first want to talk about all the books that I read, and then we're gonna move on into the manga. But first, a little disclaimer, in case you are wondering, the lighting is so bad because it is super cloudy outside, so I'm using my ring light and everything. Also, if there is a bit of noise outside, I'm really sorry, but there is construction going on outside my house and there's nothing that I can do about it, so please bear it with me. The first book that I want to talk about is Whispers of You. This is book number 1 in the Lost and Found series by Catherine Cowles, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. This book was released January 31st, so I did read it in one sitting in January 31st, but I decided to add it on my February wrap up just because I had already seen my January one when I ended up reading this one, and I just thought it was for the best because I'm really going to give you like my overall thoughts and feelings towards this book because it's a new favorite of mine. I had such high hopes for Catherine Cowles' newest series, and she did not disappoint. This book follows Ren and Holt. They used to be best friends when they were teenagers, and then they started dating, and they were perfection, but then something tragic happens to Ren, and Holt feels super responsible and basically bolts. So fast forward a few years later, Holt returns back home after his father had a heart attack and realizes that his father is pretty old and he really needs to spend time with his family and stop running. So he goes back for a few months to spend time with his family, and that's when he sees Ren again, and he's like, she is more beautiful than I remember and everything, and their feelings are still there. And he notices how much in pain Ren is after what happened to her. She has PTSD, she has trauma. She also starts working as a 911 dispatcher because she doesn't want what happened to her define her. She wants to be more stronger, and I just love that about her. And I really love the romance between Holt and Ren. It was so wholesome, but there is like a little bit some things that I didn't like about Holt. That he was a bit pushy, and when he came back and really wanted back his relationship with Ren when he was the one that left, and I just didn't understand that, but at the end everything came out full circle and I loved it. Also, we have a suspense mystery going on like most of Catherine Cowles' books, and I really love this one. I really didn't guess who was the bad guy in this one, because I guess I wasn't really looking. I was more focused on the romance than I was in the suspense story, and I'm so happy that I missed it because this made this book even more better, and I'm hoping you guys will check it out because it's really amazing. Next, we have another new release that also came out January 31st, and that is JASPER VALE. This is book number 4 in the ELSIE by Debbie Perry, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. 5 stars with exclamation points. That's how much I love this book. We have Jasper and Eloise. Eloise is another Eden sibling, and Jasper is friends with Foster, which we met in the previous book. So in this one we have a marriage of convenience, we have grabbing sunshine, forced proximity, we have so many of my favorite tropes. Also, we had a small mention of the VALE series, and I'm just so here for it, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So we have Jasper and Eloise that they went into Foster's match in Vegas. So basically they get drunk, they end up marrying each other and sleeping together, but then they wake up and they're like, this is a huge mistake and we need to get an annulment. Jasper sees it as a betrayal towards Foster, and Eloise sees her as her not being responsible enough and competent enough to handle the Eloise hotel, so because her parents are planning on transferring the deed to her basically, and now she feels that if they find out that she had like a drunken marriage in Vegas, they're going to retract it, and she really doesn't want that because that hotel is her whole life, because she really treats it as her own, and I love that. I love how devoted she is, but I also love how Jasper and Eloise have this explosive chemistry, and how neither of them wants to hide it. And I also love that Jasper quickly moves on with the fact that he can want her, but he actually does, and he accepts it pretty quickly, and quite fast they get to know each other and learn all these deep dark secrets from each other. And I love how quickly they get together and how close they end up being, and it's just perfection. Also, the book is so steamy and I loved it so much. Definitely my favorite in the series, and I have high hopes for Crimson River coming out this summer, and I love this book so much. Definitely check it out. Next we have a book that has been on my TBR list ever since I can remember, and that is Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. And I gave it 5 stars, and oh my god, I'm so happy that I finally have read The Chain of Gold, and this book was just amazing. I love being back into the Sarah Hatter world and Cassie's writing and all these characters, and we got to see Will and Tessa being like super happy and married, and that was something I didn't know that I needed. Also, oh my god, Will is just the sweetest husband, and I love that. But I can't be guessing just about Will and Tessa in this wrap up, so I'm just gonna stop here. But I really liked James, Cordelia, and every other characters like Christopher, Matthew. My favorite one is Matthew Fairchild. I love him so much. He's the best and he deserves the world. Also, I love Thomas's relationship with Alistair, I believe. I'm so shipping them. And so many others. I love Cordelia and James, but they're not like my absolute favorite. But I have to say, at first I was sort of shipping James and Grace, and I know, trust me, I'm beating myself up over it because I quickly began to hate Grace. And I mean, just also the ending is just amazing in this one. I knew there was going to be a sort of cliffhanger, but this was just wow. I will definitely start Chain of Iron soon. I also have a physical copy and I have the audiobook ready, so I guess we'll see how that will go. But yeah, I had so much fun being back into the Sarah Hatter world. I had no idea how much I missed it. It's just like coming home, and I loved it so much. Next we have Ignite, which is book number 6 in the Clover Life Farms by Melanie Harlow, and I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars, but it's mostly like 4 stars. But I did make the mistake of picking this up on a whim, and I know it's part of a series, but I know it's also interconnected standalone, so they can be read as a novel and not part of a series. But still, I had 2 books on my TBR, this one and another one from the same series, but that is the first book. But then I discovered that this book was the children from the parents of the first book, if that makes sense. And I was like, shit, I can't believe I did that. But still, I really enjoyed reading this book. We have this grumpy firefighter that moves into a bigger house with his 2 sweet daughters in this small town, and then we have this super hot girl, such a sunshine, living next door. So as soon as they meet each other, it's instant attraction, but she thinks that he's married. He's also like, she's super young and off limits. I can drag her down with me. She needs to go and be free or whatever. So there is that between them, but also that doesn't stop them for having the most steamy scenes, and I loved it. Also, I love how close they got emotionally during this book. It was also a slow burn with the emotional stuff, but not as much as the physical stuff. But still, this was a really amazing book. And also the relationship with the daughters have with the girls, just the sweetest thing, and I love watching them. They are adorable. Next we have Powerless, which is book number 3 in the Chestnut Spring series by ELSIE Silver, which I gave 5 out of 5 stars. And again, I absolutely love this one. Definitely a 5-star read. So far, all my most anticipated releases for small town romances have been 5 stars, and I couldn't be happier. We have a friends to lovers trope for proximity, one bed in this one, and soulmates basically. So we have Jasper, and I'm blanking out of her name at the moment. I'm so sorry. If you can believe it, I reread this book last night, so give me a moment to see if I can find the name. Sloan. Her name is Sloan. So Sloan is getting married to this asshole, and it's basically an arranged marriage. So Jasper flies there to be beside her because they're friends, and also some of the family is there. So basically the guy turns out to be the worst, but at the wedding day she gets an anonymous text that he's actually cheating, so that gives her like the push that she needs to end it, because she just can't believe that she got to this point just because her dad asked her to marry this guy. And she's like, how did I reach this point in my life that I become so following the stuff my dad said? I used to be so carefree and everything. So she and Jasper ran, so Jasper basically helps her become a runaway bride, and I love that. We also see them, there is a sort of family emergency in the start of the book that really focuses on Jasper's POV more, because he is more emotional to the person that has the emergency basically. But yeah, we love that. But yeah, we see them go back and forth with traveling a lot in this book, and I love that. We also see them spend a lot of time together and slowly come to terms with their feelings and everything, and I just love that. Also, my favorite scene is when they go to visit Violet, which is from her older series, which is she's also the sister of Kate and Red, who we met in the first 2 books. I had so much fun rereading this book after I had read the Gold Rush Run series, and it was just the best. I love watching all these characters interact with one another, and I also loved how that was the point that Jasper and Sloan embraced their feelings and started actually dating, and I love that. Also, I love how in the end of the book everything came full circle. Sloan became herself again and stood up to her father, and Jasper was there by her side, and I love that. I love it so much. Speaking of ELSIE Silver's books, next we have Off to the Races, which is book number 1 in the Gold Run series by her, and I gave it 3.75 out of 5 stars. This was my least favorite in the series. This follows Van or Vaughn, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, and Billy. And Billy is my least favorite ELSIE Silver character. I just don't like her as much, but I really did enjoy her romance with Vaughn. This is a billionaire, enemies to lovers, forced proximity, romance, and basically Billy is a trainer that gets hired by Vaughn to train this super wild horse in order to start racing again, because it was super expensive and it needs to make its money, but the horse is super traumatized. So Vaughn makes like a bet to Billy that if she can get it to start racing, she has a job there. So basically they start this, and they are basically attracted to one another, but they also super hate each other. And basically Billy hates all these billionaire cocky behavior that Vaughn has, and Vaughn doesn't like how hot she is and how much he's attracted to her. So basically, and it comes to a point when their attraction starts to burn hotter, and basically they start dating. And at the end, I really thought that Vaughn should have grown more, but I still liked it. It was okay, but the other books in the series totally worth it. I received an act from an author that asked me to review their book, and I was so happy for this. I'm always so happy to have new authors and getting a chance to read more books that are out of my comfort zone. And this one is The Search for Synergy by Brett Salter, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I have a full review up on my blog if you want to check it out. But this one was a middle grade book and a fantasy one, and it was so amazing. It was like everything that I needed. And in case you see, I'm looking at my notes here, but yeah, so we have like I said, it's a middle grade story, and it's been a while since I read one of those. Last one I think was the Percy Jackson series, and I really did enjoy this one. The magic system was really interesting, and usually I don't read much of middle grade, so it was a nice surprise. And also we have, I loved the relationship between Rome and Julian. They were such a sweethearts. I love watching the friendship and everything about them. Their relationship developed and everything. It was just the best. And there was such an adventure story full with battles and everything, and it's been a while since I read such a hardcore fantasy book, and I had so much fun, and I can't wait to continue with the series. We have Out of the Gate, which is book number 1.5 of the Gold Rush series, called Rush Run series by ELSIE Silver, and I gave this one 4.5 out of 5 stars. I'm sorry I keep stamping my word. I have no idea what's happening with me. But anyway, this one took me by complete surprise. I thought for sure I was gonna skip it, but then I picked it up when I saw that it was like a novella, and I was so hesitant about it because we meet Drummond in the previous book that is actually Vaughn's grandfather that has passed away. So when I was really hesitant on reading a book about him when he was young, but this book took me completely by surprise. Drummond's relationship with Ada was amazing. I loved it so much, and I was so sad because we know how their story ends. It was just so heartbreaking to read about. So we have here friends to lover, brother's best friend, for proximity, and so many of my favorite tropes. So basically, Ada has always had feelings for Drummond, and he's super attracted, and she feels like her soul calls to his. And now that Drummond is back from the war and working on the ranch again, he wants to be closer to her because it's been a while, and he actually missed her, and he actually does have feelings for her, but he doesn't feel like he's the right guy for her. But when she kissed him before he left, that's all he can think about. So they start to argue a lot, and the truth comes out, and they have the most steamy scenes, and I loved it. Also, I love how everything came about in full circle at the end. I understand what Drummond is, the way he acts, but at the end he really pulled through, and I just love that, and it's definitely one of my favorites in the series. Next we have the photo finish, which is book number 2 in the Gold Rush Run series by ELSIE Silver. This one I gave 4.75. This is my favorite in the series, and the one that I was most excited to read. This is called Violet's Story. And those of you who have read Chestnut series, or you have probably guessed that Violet and Cole are married in the distant future, so I was really excited to see the romance. So this one is a military for proximity romance, and we have Violet, who does something crazy for the first time in her life and post a nude on a site, app, whatever on the internet. So Cole finds it when he's in a dark place after the war, and they start talking and basically become each other's heir and end up falling in love with each other. But then something happens and Violet decides to deactivate the profile, and basically that's it. Fast forward a few years later, Cole knows that it's Violet, but Violet doesn't know Cole's identity. So when they meet, Cole's like, you remember me, I remember you, whatever, purple girl, something like that is her handle name. So basically she's like, oh my god, I can't believe that is him. He's like my brother-in-law's brother, and I'm like, wow. But then an accident happens and she needs to come stay at his house, so because she can be alone because she's injured. So basically they start spending a lot of time together and start opening themselves up again to one another, and I just love that. Also, I love how they end up coming together and it was just perfection. And I love how at the end both of them felt the need to be apart for a while and then come back together. It was just amazing. For the front runner was book number 3 in the Gold Rush Run series by ELSIE Silver, which I gave 4 stars. This one follows Mira and Stefan, or Stefan, I'm not sure how to say his name. But basically it's enemies to lovers, a situation, workplace romance and everything. So Mira is a vet and Stefan we meet in the previous books, and he owns a ranch basically that is competitive to the 1 billion bone hunt. So basically we see him as this great villain in this entire series, but in this book we actually see him that he's actually a pretty good guy. And only Mira sees that, but she feels like she's betraying her friend by being attracted to him. But he also has to take care of his teenage sister, so there is a lot going on there. But they start to date and just like amazing. Like Stefan asked like 3 dates in return for helping like a horse or something. And as soon as they start dating, they are like they are perfect for one another, and I love that. And basically this book was amazing, so much fun. I have the final book of this series, and that is a 4-star, which is book number 4 in the Gold Rush Run series by ELSIE Silver, which I gave 4.75 out of 5 stars. This is my second favorite of the series, and this one follows Griffin and Nadia, which we meet in the previous book, and Griffin is Stefan's best friend. So there is an 8-cup brother best friend romance, which is one of my favorite tropes. And basically Griffin and Nadia had a hot moment in a bar bathroom, and basically after a while Stefan introduces them, and they had no idea that they hooked up with each other basically. So Griffin is like, I can want her, she's too young and my best friend's sister, and vice versa. So but Nadia stands her ground because she really does feel connected to Griffin and actually has strong feelings for him. But Griffin feels like he's gonna hold her back and everything because she wants to be a vet and go to college and everything. So yeah, I love how emotional and healing this story was, and I love how Nadia decides to put herself first at the end, and Griffin as well, because she asks for time apart so he can put himself back together in a healthy way, and see if actually his love for her is actually so strong. And I just love that. This story was just amazing, and Nadia and Griffin's relationship was incredible and one of my favorite stories to date. We finished talking about all the books that I read, let's just get straight into the manga. So I read The King's Speech Volume 1, 2 and 3, and I gave them 3 stars. This series is one that I have been excited to read for a while now. It's basically everywhere on the internet. Also my friend Alisa picked it up recently, I actually loved it, so I thought why not give it a try. But so far I'm not really vibing with the story, I'm not connected with the characters I'm not really interested in the plot with the mystery and everything. I have said it on my reviews on Goodreads, but I think this story would be so much better if it was actually BL and not an actual romance. but oh well, I'm not sure if I'm gonna drop it or not. So far, it's an okay story. I'm not really loving it and I'm not really hating it, so I guess we'll see. But so this is a historical shoujo series, and we have this Ajin, which is like a beast, and there's this society that makes them be servants or be the girls prostitutes, and basically be servant is the highest honor because they are servants to the princess. But this girl, her twin brother gets taken to be a beast servant, but then she finds out he got killed by a prince, so she not transforms, she disguises herself as a man to be a beast servant for the prince that she believes he kills him, and she wants revenge basically. But then she goes to the palace and finds out that he wasn't the one that killed her brother, but he was actually the one grieving for him, and she just feels so connected with him because he's actually super kind and everything. And basically that's the story. There's also this mystery going on with the one of the princes being a bad guy and actually having killed the beast servant that was her brother. So there is this going on, but so far I'm not really interested. I'm not sure how to put it. The last book that I want to talk about in this video is Kami-sama Kiss Volume 2. And I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I picked it up again on a whim, and I just felt I wasn't sure what to read and I couldn't pick a new manga, so I thought why not continue with Kami-sama Kiss since I love it so much. And this one is the volume in which we get introduced to Kurama, and is also the one with the lightning god makes an appearance, and we have Tomoe transforming into this adorable child, and he's like super needy and everything is like adorable, and I love him to death. This one is one of my favorite volumes. I loved it so much, and I have so much fun reading the series. I think I'm just gonna keep reading slowly because I want to be happy for a long time, because I have like 25 volumes in total, so I only have work to do and I will take my time. So I guess we'll see, but so far I'm really loving my reread. I love watching these characters and everything, and I love watching so many things that the manga, that the anime didn't put in the anime, and so many moments and everything, and I'm so ready to get more of Tomoe and Anami. This is just amazing. So that's it for my video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I had so much fun talking about these books and manga that I read this month, and I will see you for my video next week because I am going back to my old schedule, 1 video a week. I'm so sorry, but I'm about to get super busy again and I won't have the time to film and edit 2 videos a week, so I'm really sorry. But I hope you stick around because I have a fun content coming your way. I will appreciate it if you check out my Instagram because that's where I'm most active. My handle is bookswithnatasa. I'm also recently gave myself a makeover on my Instagram, so keep an eye out for that. Next, I hope you like, subscribe and stick around. Click on the notification bell so you'll be notified when I post, and I will see you for my next video Wednesday. Bye!
Calling out.